Welcome back to Fret Buzz, the podcast where we try to dig deep into the musical conversation that we musicians tend to have, whether that's through my personal favorite, recording, or being a student, technique, writing and composition, guitar, bass, drums, vocals, piano, all of the above. We get into all kinds of stuff here at Fret Buzz, the podcast. This week on Fret Buzz, we have part 2, about a 45-minute episode with Cole Holland of hollandaysmusic.com. Real quick, I just want to say follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, join our Facebook group, continue the conversation. We also have a YouTube page as well where you can actually see all our episodes if you're interested. Don't forget to visit us at fretbuzzthepodcast.com. Again, I want to encourage everybody to go over to iTunes and give us a review. Thank you for listening, and here is part 2 of Fret Buzz the podcast with Cole Holland. What I wanted to jump into, let's go back. Coming out of Berklee, what were your plans and what did you dive into, and how did that lead up to your contract with the cruise?
Right, so I hung around. I graduated in May of 2017, and I kind of hung around Boston for a bit. I was talking with some people and some teachers. I was possibly looking into seeing if I was going to do a part-time teaching job at like a Berklee summer program or something.
Okay. Now, were you thinking of teaching for Berklee, or was that just something to get you by?
Both. There was something that could have presented itself at the time if I really
pursued it, right?
Really pursued it. I think I got really serious with a couple of things, but I'm glad I didn't, because I realized that I need to be doing what I'm doing now, and getting out, exploring and playing and doing this and that. Yeah. But so I was like, maybe I'll try and do some teaching. So kind of like no matter what, there's going to be some teaching involved. So long story short, I left Boston after like 2 months hanging around, seeing people and playing. Trying to see I was gonna make a band of people I've been playing with and record some original music, and that just. I didn't want to do it. I really want to take my time with my own projects, and I didn't want to do it then. So I went back home to Orlando, Florida at the time, and I had already been in and out playing with a lot of people there, making friends for the past 2-3 years. And I started gigging, and I started working at School of Rock. Mm-hmm. I started working at School of Rock. I get it confused with Bach Rock. I started working at School of Rock. Because I was doing private lessons, and then I started teaching there. So I was doing stuff in and outside the schools, and then I was picking up gigs, doing like jazz fests and little corporate stuff here and there. But pretty much steady bar stuff, like playing downtown and playing around. Right. Little stuff just to play, make some cash, and meet people. So I was just kind of doing that for a bit and playing with this one group for a while. Leisure Chief is the name of that group. They're putting out some new content soon. Really cool guys. And the sax player for that group, sax player, flautist, so on, he just literally tagged me in a Facebook post. I'd been home for about 4 or 5 months, and I was making, pretty decent money enough to get by. I was doing all right. Yeah. But wasn't really what I wanted to do. I really wanted to be able to go, and I wanted to do something like a tour, but then I figured that wasn't going to happen where I was. I was going to start writing and doing a bunch of writing and whatnot, but then I just got referred through Facebook on this for the cruise thing, because the BB King's All-Stars at Sea is what it is. They have a whole Facebook page and a website dedicated to auditioning online. It's all online, so I sent in video footage. I sent in video of Can I Change My Mind by Tyro Davis, Knock on Wood by Eddie Floyd, and Route 66 by Natalie Cole.
Wait, I thought that was Bobby Troop and Chuck Berry. Did it?
Natalie Cole version, like a big band version.
Okay.
I guess. Let me
love that song. John Mayer did it in Pixar's Cars recently too.
Really? Nice.
Yeah.
So I just auditioned. And I did use my Eastman, I think, on one of them. I see you have an Eastman sitting there behind you. Yeah. But I have, I used it on one song to get the nice classic hollow body style sound, a little warmer sound. And then I used my Telecaster, and the rest, I use a Telecaster for pretty much everything right now. got a custom tally that's super versatile.
Mm-hmm.
But I just laid down those parts, and I got a call, and I went out. I think someone else I originally had in my position, he backed out last minute, so I happened to call my boss at a good time where he was in need of somebody, and I guess he had me as one of his backups, so someone picked out. He had me picked out, but just there was no contract at the time. Right. So I happened to call him at a good time and got in on this contract with a group of amazing players. They are all kind of like a veteran group. They had done it at least 3 times, three times, like together, like 4 or 5 of them. So it was easy to come in because they had a lot of songs already. So it was really easy to just boom, 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 go through songs real fast. It was a little hectic for me at first, you know. I had like 2 weeks to learn, like a week and a half to learn like 50 songs for rehearsal. So I just grinded on that for a bit.
Yeah.
And then once we got there, you know, we were in the Caribbean for 3.5 months, almost 4 months. And that was just, those are usually 7 to 10 day cruises or something like that.
Yeah.
So we have to get our repertoire up like big time. So we got to learn like 5 songs a week at least, like 5-6 songs a week, rehearsing every day to get our repertoire up to at least like 70, 80, like 90 songs. So we're not playing the same stuff for these people by the 4th, 5th day, you know, because we play 6 nights a week, 3 45-minute sets a night. So you're going to get to hear us a lot. So we have to be able to not play the same stuff over and over again, or not have to stretch out songs or instrumentals to make up for time. We have to have, you know, a good diverse set list and a pretty big repertoire.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mentioned earlier, the repertoire, the master list is like 270 something songs or 265 or something like that. And usually you can get to like 100, 110 in a perfect way. I got to like 120 in my first contract, and now it's added on to do a lot of the same songs, and probably around 135 songs I have in my head, which is pretty cool to think about. But it was just a lot of work in the beginning. You have to be rehearsing every day and there's no music. It's all by ear. So
really?
There's no music. It's all by ear.
Oh, okay. That changes things.
Yeah.
There's no charts or anything.
No, you can make your own charts. I had a notebook of notes, and I tell you what, you know, you guys have heard writing stuff down just to implant it in your brain. Write stuff down. You won't forget it. Handwrite it. Don't write notes in your iPhone.
Yeah.
Handwrite it.
Yeah, handwriting. Yeah.
With a pencil or a pen, you know? Yep. So those first 50 rehearsal songs, like, got glued in because I just sat at my desk and I'd be up till 3 a.m. every night just writing notes and playing them over and over again. And I just wrote a bunch of stuff down, and it just stuck. And then after that, it kind of became really easy for me to just be able to just sit down and learn a song, you know, by ear. I recommend just listening to it throughout the day, like have it playing in the background while you're working, doing something else, and just kind of get it in your ear before you even actually sit down with the guitar and play it. But if you're in a time crunch, you got to sit down and listen to the song all the way through. Don't touch your guitar, and then sit down and kind of jam along with it and noodle along, and then go ahead and start to work out the parts and everything.
Yeah.
But that first month totally changed how I am as a musician, as a player, with having to, you know, learn some pretty. Some parts are complicated. There's some very complicated songs, and then but also like gives credit where it's due and try to mimic a certain style. Like it's really hard to do Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan, like really do it up right and give it justice. You know, I think I do a pretty decent job, but like stuff like that sometimes can be a challenge when you have so many different tones and sounds you're trying to have dialed in. And for me, I'm kind of perfectionist with tone, and I get really close to a lot of these records with using a pretty small rig, you know, and using a Telecaster at that. So I have to be able to make that work and get all these different sounds. And it was a lot of that came into play, like being able to learn these songs during the day and then play them that same night. And in the beginning, I would learn a song that day. We'd learn a rehearsal, and he pulled out that night, and I would just forget something. And once you mess it up on stage once, you never do it again. It's not for me. Yep. Once you look back and you see someone just giving you like that glare, and then you get, you know, chewed out.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, you know, you're going to get fired if you don't get your stuff together, kind of thing. Like, okay, well, I guess I will go practice more tonight, you know? So definitely changed my work ethic and how I'm already a perfectionist, but even more so now. It was this specific cruise gig with the BB King All-Stars is very cool because, okay, it's the BB King All-Star Band, so the guitar is on every song. I don't get breaks. I'm playing every song. I get, you know, the most solos at everybody's record to tear it up, you know?
Right.
But for me, my stage presence is not good. It never has been. It's something I've had to work on for a long time and continuing to work on.
Right.
It's my weakest. It's my weak point right now because I'll be having a great time on stage, but I'm just straight face, stone cold. Like I've not even been moving. I'll get so into it, and also doing so much stuff with like jazz. And I did a lot of gypsy jazz before I went to Berklee. So you're just sitting down, playing. Like so now I'm up front and center. And I have to move and dance with all these dancers and stuff. And I'm a terrible dancer, but I'm getting somewhere. I'm definitely getting somewhere. But
that's funny.
Well, it's interesting. I have 2 degrees in performance. I have my AA that I got in the university in Orlando, and then I have my bachelor's from Berklee.
Right.
And I did take courses on it, but like nothing, no schooling, no matter how formal the education is going to prepare you to be just on stage, like unless you've been doing it already for a long time, which I hadn't. I was primarily some guy. I do gigs every now and then, but I was kind of always in the background. So when you're put front and center, it's a whole different kind of playing. You have to really aware of everything. Like that's what they say, practice in front of the mirror and whatnot. So you can kind of.
You almost have to take a theater class,
right? So that's still a big problem for me, but. The cruise thing is just wonderful, man. And of course, putting the travel aside, it's just like you're playing with a lot of great players in this particular gig. Lots of people with a heavy church gospel background, and it's really fun. It's very fun. And it definitely has changed me.
Just out of curiosity, how big is the ship? What's the occupancy?
They have like 6 or 7 of these groups of these bands out of like the 20-something ships in the Holland America fleet. And by the way, I'm not related to this. I want to say this right now that yes, I do share a last name with these ships.
So are there like 500 people on these ships?
Oh no, like 2,000-3,000. 2,000-3,000, all the way up to like 4,000 or 5,000. The first ship I played on was the biggest one they have up until the new one that just got released. They're both the same size. And the second one I was on was one of the smallest, oldest ones. But even the small one's going to have like 1,500, 2,000 people.
Okay, yeah.
And they have the specific BB King Blues clubs on these ships designed just only for our set during the night. Anyways, during the day they'll do whatever. But
is it like a theater setup where you've got a stage and
so the new one
floors or anything?
The new ship, the first ship I was on, the new ship, they have like a dance floor. They have dance floors and all of them, but the new ones have a very big open area with dance floor and like chairs and lounge area on the side, and they have a second floor. The one I played on this time was just one floor, a dance floor in the middle, decent sized stage. This is a 7-person band, so it fits us all just right on there. And then just lounge areas, some in the back and in the front there, chairs in the front, and then some little booths and stuff, in the back, and the bar and everything. And
you said what, 3 45-minute sets?
Yeah, 6 nights a week, every week.
Okay, that's not bad.
And rehearsing every day, rehearsing sound check every day. So yeah, it's not bad. It gets to be,
what does rehearsal look like? Rehearsal's
in there. Same where we rehearse on stage. We do it usually around 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And we will just one player in the group is designated as the MD, the musical director, and they will be in contact with our boss a lot. But they will pretty much be they pick all the they make the sets for each night, so they'll spend a lot of time talking with our vocalists or male and female vocalists about songs they know in the beginning, so we can pick out songs and start learning them quick because they already know the lyrics.
Okay.
So they'll conduct the rehearsal. So we kind of go in, just go over 4 or 5 songs, and then we'll say we'll see you tonight.
Okay. So and is rehearsal every single night?
Yeah, except on our off day. We have one off day a week.
Right. Okay.
But every day is rehearsal.
Okay, so you're doing rehearsal every day behind closed doors.
They close the club down, but I tell you what, guests always find a way in. And every now and then, there's the one guy or girl, but usually it's always the cool guy that comes in will mention something about, you guys using the in-ear monitors, huh? They'll slip in something to show that they know something about music.
Right, of course.
It's still not enough to be okay, you're being annoying. We're in rehearsal. If you would know anything about just to give us a wave and keep walking, not to walk up and hey, can we join you guys with a beer in their hand and sit down right in the middle of the day.
I'm on a cruise, man.
Right. He's like, I paid a lot of money to be here.
Oh yeah. One lady told us she paid a lot of money, and we need to stop rehearsing right now. She walked up at 12 p.m. noon and shut down the rehearsal because she hadn't been sleeping. Because the way this particular ship was designed, the stage was above some of the guest staterooms, right. So she's hearing the kick drum just. So, like, there's something we can do about it. She comes down and tried to shut down our rehearsal. Like, you didn't pay the kind of money I paid to be on here and just, like, throwing us.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope they gave that lady a new room.
I think they did. They tried. We never saw her again. Even just, after that.
Better for everybody.
So you guys are, you're playing, you're not like playing on, you're not playing like the pool or anything like that. You guys usually in the club or in the.
Right. It's always in the club.
Okay, so it's always in the club. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have like literally, it's called the BB King's Blues Club now. It used to be Queen's Lounge. Now it is like the BB King Blues Club. I don't know if they're working on designing some of the rooms better because some of the rooms are not necessarily designed for this.
Okay.
Although this is a fairly new project. There's only been I think this BB King Blues Club at Sea is like 4 years now, so it's still. 3.5 years. So I mean, this was implemented onto these ships. Some of them already being 15 years old, so they had to do what they can to redesign. So sometimes the sound can be a bit iffy. You have to make do with what you got in there, in terms of sound technicians and some people that aren't totally well equipped to be able to handle all sorts of problems. And some guys that just like they can get the job done, but there's certain things that are just might be a little over their head. So sometimes you got to deal with. Sound issues and electrical issues and whatnot. Yeah. I don't think that's anything out of the norm. It's just it's supposed to be like this is supposed to be setting you up for like being tour ready. I guess you could say it's very good gig to get you tour ready. But sometimes people forget that we're still not on a professional tour. You gotta let yourself understand that you're working with some people who are not, this is not the only thing they do, like especially with the sound technicians on the ship. Some of these guys have been doing this for like 8-9 years, but they only do it like smaller scale. Like sometimes you get to a larger scale, 7-piece band, and everything's just not mixed right, and so you have to deal with all that. Right. Sometimes you got to deal with certain things like that, but overall, it's a great experience between the travel and all the perks.
That's a 6-month contract.
The first one was because we fly out to Memphis and rehearse for 2 weeks, and then we go out. So my first one, I flew out to Memphis November 27th, and then I was on the ship like December 7th or something like that. So it was from December. I was gone November 27th to May 1st, and then this one I was gone July, like 10th or something to November 14th. So like in between like 4 and 6 months, usually 4 to 5 months.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
and the money's pretty good.
Yes.
Don't actually tell me what the money is, but money's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, it's a weekly pay that is good, and I have to say, it's very good. It's because it's very easy to save. It's very easy to spend too, but it's very easy to save.
Yeah, you're on a ship. Where are you going to spend your money?
Trust me, you find ways, man. Like
right.
We get 50% off of booze and stuff, so sometimes it can be easy to get carried away. And then just being around certain parts of the world where the currency exchange is in your favor, so you go out and buy a bunch of clothes and buy suits or whatever, just to have fun. Right. But yes, it's very easy to save because you can eat for free. With this particular gig, I'm just like a guest. I get to eat all this stuff, and I get to explore. I work at night, and we're always at sea at night, usually. Some ports were there till 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. Some very rarely, but sometimes we will have overnights. We did stay overnight in Russia a couple of times. But when I was in the Baltic Sea this past time, it was ridiculous.
Sounds like you've had a rough life, man.
I did the Caribbean for 3 months, and then Mediterranean, which is Spain, Italy, Greece, and then I did the Baltic, which is Copenhagen, Stockholm, Helsinki, and then Iceland, Greenland, Canada, and then we'll be in Asia. Shanghai, like we're going to Japan, Vietnam.
Let me know if you stop in Hawaii next year.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll be over there.
Nice. I just got a new contract for the ship as well. I just took a new one yesterday going to Asia.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I had to decide between, you know, taking this next tour and going to Asia, and not just for the itinerary, but just to go and play with some people I already know, or to kind of continue doing my own thing. You know, I've only been back for about a month already, not even a month.
Right.
So I kind of wanted some downtime to, you know, kind of shake off the ship rust a little bit, because I thought I have enough time to go over a bunch of stuff I've been wanting to go over, whether it's like some more solo guitar stuff and you know, lots of chord solo melodies and whatnot, whether it's standards or doing like some Jerry Reed stuff. But it's okay, you know. I'm feeling ready to go back out. I just I originally had some plans to kind of do some writing and this and that, but it's all right. I can't pass up this opportunity.
Right.
It's a tough thing to do. You always want to go and make the money, and I always want more time to practice. Always.
Well, exactly.
Always. 8 hours isn't enough in a day.
No, it really isn't. I tell you what, especially this past year, I really learned a lot about time management and how much time I really have in a day when it comes down to it, to get everything you want to get done, because it's not just music. You know, once you start playing so much music per week, you have to find time for yourself to go out, whether it's exercise or to go walk around and totally take yourself out of anything that has to do with music. For me. Just be a normal person and be a normal human being. And like, you know, when I was at school, when I was at Berklee, it was music, you know, everything music.
Yeah.
It's no time to do anything else, and didn't want to have time to do anything else, you know, because that's how it was. You want to just totally immerse yourself.
Yeah.
But that can be very deadly, to just only be doing one thing all the time. You're not going to pull enough inspiration. You're not going to be able to just sit down in one spot. For me personally, I can't just sit down in one spot for 6 hours a day without getting restless and needing something else. I can't just be doing the same thing all the time.
Yeah, you have to force yourself out of that situation.
Yeah.
And like you said, in order to experience life and have things to kind of pull from, you kind of have to go experience life.
You do. I mean, it's like, you know, take someone, for instance, who is going to school for like creative writing. You can be a good artist and you can be a good writer, but you can only go so far. You have to go out and experience stuff on your own. You have to be able to, like you said, pull from something. Otherwise, you can't just learn this and that and learn a bunch of stuff that's already been taught to a bunch of other people that you might, you know, take into your own hands and make it new, but you don't have anything to pull from. You got to go out and explore and meet new people and see new things, as scary as it seems at first. You know, change is like the scariest thing for most of us.
Oh, yeah.
At first.
Yeah.
The big conflict.
It's necessary, though.
It is. It's a big conflict right now. I mean, like, you know, I could have decided to say, you know, I want to go to Nashville. I'm not going to do the cruise thing. I want to go straight to Nashville, because I've been really thinking about going and checking out Nashville and checking out some other cities and seeing what's going on there. But right now, this is good. This is good where I'm at.
That's awesome.
So what sound on? I mean, God, I'm thinking about how much money I would save not being able to go to Guitar Center and stuff. But like. What equipment do you use on the ship when you're performing, other than your Telecaster?
Right. So they provide all the backline.
Oh, they have the amp for you?
Yeah.
What kind of amp did they have you use?
This time, thank God, it was a Fender Deluxe reverb.
Nice.
But the first one, they had the Fender Deluxe that was like totally shot. The tubes were just awful. And it's like, you know, the clean tone sounds gritty, you know, it's that bad. So I was using Roland Jazz Cores, I think, something like that.
The JC 120 or the little one?
It was a big one, but like it would like project sound wherever the amp was turned, and you literally couldn't hear like from the side of the amp. It was like, so the way it was tough. The way the band could never hear me, you know, it was tough. So you have to get the mix just right, so everybody could hear everybody just fine, except not just during solos. But
you didn't have a mic on, like a E609 or something on your amp?
Yeah, we do. But then, we're not, like, just sometimes the monitor mixes we're not always on point.
Right.
That goes back to what I was saying earlier. Some of these guys, the mixes are right. They don't, like, the board will get like white clean every now and then. You have to just redo the whole mix. Like, something crazy stuff will happen. We're just like the whole shit. Like, it's all on like one big board. Like, everything will just crash, and then you have to like redo it's happened in the middle of shows for other people before, where they just like all the sound stops. Yeah, but so all the backlines provided though, and they've been doing a lot of upgrades the past couple months, past year, which is great. But I have a dual mono case, so I have my D'Angelico, my semi-hollow body I bring, and then I have my Telecaster. But I really touch on D'Angelico. Like I said, this Tele is so versatile, and once you dial in a tone, you can really. Let me say this: I was looking at something recently. Like, it doesn't matter what gear you have, as long as you really know your way around it. If you have a rig that you really know your way around, you can get as much sound as you want out of it, I think. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. You can make it work, and you can make it your own if you really know it. So I really had a good handle on my rig, and I was able to get a lot of tone. I mean, I bring my my pedal rig with me. Been doing some upgrades, but actually this past time I had a compressor, which I use a lot, a little tiny compressor made by Full Tone.
Do you use that
like this big,
like all the time? Is that an always on kind of thing for you?
That has become almost an always on pedal now, because I love the tight compressed sound that this particular compressor gives, but it also really can boost the tone of the brightness and the overall the beefiness to it. When you need a little extra it almost acts as like a boost pedal more than a compressor. It's really interesting. Like, I never was into compressor pedals at all, and this thing just totally opened up my playing. And ability to get like a lot of different tones and stuff. So that's almost like an always on. I have this new Dumbloid overdrive special. It's like an overdrive and boost pedal in one, but it's this big overdrive Dumbloid pedal. It looks beautiful. And then I brought another. I broke my other distortion pedal, so I just replaced it with an OCD I had laying around. But those OCD pedals, you see them all over the place. They're not bad. You can get some good tones out of those. They live up to it. And then I just use for like on the road, because now I'm kind of making 2 rigs right now, at home / studio use, and then on the road rig. And like the TC Electronic Hall of Fame reverb and the TC Electronic Flashback, the red and blue. The blue is the delay and the red is the reverb. They're a great combo for delay and reverb. You don't need a whole lot when you're on stage. I need very small, like simple pedals, not a lot of effects on it, so I can just be able to go and get my sounds dialed in quick and keep rolling.
Would you rather use that the pedal rather than the Fender's spring reverb? Yeah,
so my reverb broke like a month into the past contract, so I just used the reverb through the amp, and that was great. But that reverb through this particular amp would linger, even on 3.5, the deluxe reverb. It would linger. Yeah, it wouldn't fade. It would just keep going. That was one of the first times I noticed that.
Seems like an amp problem. Like that specific amp.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
So I keep it in between 2 and 3, and then for some BB King songs and other slower blues tunes or whatnot, I boost the reverb a little bit. But I did use the reverb through the amp pretty much that entire time. And then volume pedal I use quite a bit. Wah pedal, of course, got to have that. I have a Boss CE Chorus CE2.
Okay,
it's the blue one. It's from the 80s, original from the 80s.
Yep,
amazing sound. I love that thing. It's so nice.
I have one as well somewhere around here.
Yeah, I have a Yankee power supply that I use. That is amazing. I highly recommend those. I got one you can actually adjust the voltage for your last 4 outputs. So if you have a obscure pedal or something that requires something other than 9 volt or whatever, you can change it.
14 or 12. That's cool.
Right. And then I also bring stuff just to practice with. I got a Ditto X4 loop station that I use to loop stuff in practice. I like to sometimes when I started getting into like adding in like some sort of bass grooves and just play a line, a bass line on my guitar on like an odd time, like 5/4 or 7/8 or something, and then practice my modes over that, because every day I do a key. So so today it's F, tomorrow's G flat, next day's G. Just go up and every day do all the modes through all the keys. So like just major mode, melodic minor, harmonic major, and that's like something I do every day. So just kind of bringing some tools to help have some fun when just to loop stuff and practice when you're stuck on a ship. You have a lot of time.
Yeah,
the looping pedals, like especially with Christmas being right around the corner. A lot of my students' parents have been asking me like, hey, we're thinking about getting little Joey something for the guitar for Christmas. What should I get him? I'm like, loop.
Yeah, that was the best thing I had. I was telling you guys earlier when I would learn a chord, and I just would play it on the loop pedal, then just figure out how to solo around it. And that's like something that John McLaughlin did religiously. Actually, he would take a chord with a little more color to figure out how to solo around it, how many different ways I can solo around it. Like you take an A7, sharp 5, sharp 9. Okay, what modes can I use? What? First of all, where does that exist, and what other cool things can I do over that to blow over and make it really cool? You know, so I think a looper is essential to somebody who is really wanting to help open up their soloing. I think it's very much essential, so you can sit down and just spend like 2 hours just putting everything in your head out there over maybe one chord, 2 chords.
Yeah, without the pressure of, you know, being in a live situation or even around your friends or your you know, bandmates. Like, you don't want to figure it out in front of them.
Right. Like, you don't have to invite over that friend anymore to play chords, for you. Right.
Yeah, right. And then you've got the drum machine inside as well. See, there's your drummer. You basically got a whole band within, you know, a pedal nowadays. And it's extremely important for you to explore how to utilize either scales or chords or just kind of having some fun. What does your practice routine look like? What do you do on a daily basis?
So no matter what, it's got to be the mode. So every day, like, it's just going up the keys every day. So like I said, so today I'll start back at square one because I actually, for the first time in a while, since I played so much this year, I took off. I kind of got off my practice routine. So it's been like a week since I've done my actual usual practice routine, not just like noodling. But it really hurts my heart too. My teacher heard me right now. I think he'd be pissed because he's like, I haven't missed a day of practice in like 20-something years, you know. So like, but then I also read this is the Gary Burton biography in the book he wrote about his life and legacy and everything and where he's been, but like how he thinks about music, and he wouldn't practice every day. Everybody's different, you know. Everybody's different. Sometimes it's good, but anyway. So let's say today is the key of F. So I sit down and we have our major mode. So that's Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, you know, all the ones everybody knows. But then you go through melodic minor. I go through melodic minors. Then that's, you know, just a major scale with one note change. And then you go to a harmonic minor. So then you have now you have 2 notes change. And then you go to harmonic major, which is a major scale with 1 note change. So really you're working within very close proximity to what you probably already know. But, you know, melodic minor, harmonic minor, and harmonic major offers so many more possibilities when you really think about it and break it down, because I'll spend time saying out loud for each mode what the tensions are, because so we think about it as like major mode, Ionian, very basic. So I say 9, 11, 13. Every chord within the mode has tensions, 9, 11, and 13. And you know, people get confused and like, well, what is a flat 11? So flat 11 really is just a raised third. So like if we're talking about harmonic minor, for instance, we have a flat 6 major 7th, but we're going to have a sharp 9 over a major chord, you know, sharp 9, a sharp 11, and a 13. So I would say those tensions out loud before I even play the chord. So if we're in the key of C, flat 6 major 7, and I could start in A flat, and you play the mode. I say flat 6 major 7. Sharp 9, sharp 11, 13. I go and I play the mode. I do that for all of them. And sometimes even the hard challenge is actually to call out the tensions while you're playing them. So A flat, 9. You say when you hit B flat, you yell out 9, and then you keep going. That was very challenging. But I always start off with do the modes, and always have the tensions for each one, because that helps just kind of open up and think about more chord possibilities and whatnot. Like
you're doing that so that in the context of like a jazz solo or whatever else, you can purposefully, like over the 2, you know, or say over the 5 chord, you can play that sharp 9 on purpose and like be able to know exactly what it is and where it is without having to have any delay in your thought process. Yeah,
exactly. And then just like the fact knowing that, okay, well, I can play a minor, something that's in the harmonic minor, even though I'm going back to a major chord. I can play something that sounds totally minor because I know my way around that. I practice these modes and resolve it to major. And like harmonic minor has some beautiful sounds and colors in it that are used all the time. People don't realize it. Like the 4 minor major 7 comes off from harmonic minor, and a bunch of beautiful stuff comes from there. I mean, there's something, the diminished major 7th sounds really scary, but it's really pretty. It gives you a lot of really cool sounds from harmonic major. That's what harmonic major is the Herbie Hancock, and a lot of these players are all up and down the harmonic major 7th or diminished major 7th stuff. Like, it's really cool. So it's just opening up more possibilities to play still very straightforward theoretically wise. Like, you know exactly where you are, but how to open up certain chords and well, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna in key of harmonic minor. You can still play the 5 chord with the flat 13. So even if you stack the G chords, you can have. Or you're doing it just on the guitar. You have G, F, B, E flat, but then you're resolving to, let's just say, C7s. You can borrow chords from other tonalities to help give you a little more color, and that's just a really easy and accessible way, just through the simple use of modes, to figure out how to take these other little routes. And like a lot of stuff exists within those 4 modes. There's so much stuff you can get out of that and really practice with. Because then I'll start doing scale exercises like like doing descending. You'll play 2 triads and you play the scale down, and just I will stay within my my mode fingering too. Because one thing that I totally changed, I realized I had a big problem when I got used to playing wrong, was like not thinking about fingering so much. So like when we're doing Dorian, so I'll actually use these 3 fingers right here for the first 3 notes. So we're doing Dorian in the key of G. I'll go A, B, C, and I'll do a stretch with this finger just so my middle finger, my index, everything stays in the same fret. So everything's lined up on the same fret. So it's easier when you're reading, and just with the dexterity, and you get my hand has gotten a lot more comfortable, and I've started to utilize my ring finger as opposed to my pinky a lot more, because I noticed, especially a lot of these R&B and gospel players I've been studying a lot, like Isaiah Sharkey and Jubu Smith. They utilize their ring finger a lot more and the pinky a lot less, because I think it actually provides a little more strength and dexterity.
Oh, yeah.
I used to use my pinky so much, but now I've been changing the way I play these modes, and I'm getting a lot more space between this, a lot more strength, and it actually opened up a lot more different outlets to play the same thing I've been playing, but a lot more comfortably, and also for the sake of saving your hands. Because, I had a teacher at Berklee, Jack Pezzanelli, great dude, he played with a lot of people. He actually gave B.B. King guitar lessons at some point. It's a really funny story. But he's a great guy, and he's had surgeries, and like 5, 6 surgeries in both his hands already, from just like, wow. You have to take care. You have to realize what you're doing. And like I'm never gonna not do it when I play. This pinky just like tenses up. It'll look like this while I'm playing. So it's something I started really getting into, like playing the modes right and getting the fingerings right and practicing arpeggios, 1 octave, 2 octave, and 3 octave arpeggios, and make sure you're playing all right and you play everything through all of the different inversions too. You have to make sure you do that, because all of a sudden you play something, you play a half diminished arpeggio, but you play it from like second inversion, or you play it off the flat 5 or something, and then all of a sudden you're all confused. You know how to play it regularly, but you can't play the same thing on an inversion, and because you're doing 3 octaves, it gets confusing. A lot of classical stuff is really fun to do on the guitar for any and all styles to help get that consistency of perfection down, and playing, knowing how to get your shapes down. Like, that's a really big thing. Practice that a lot of arpeggios and chord stuff too. Like thinking about chords as intervals as opposed to thinking of them like as like this is A minor or something. Think about in the key of C, and you're going to play all the chords. This is actually a concept from my teacher at Berklee called Tronzo triads, where he would do a second and then a fourth, and you go through the scale. So you start on A. Let's just say, for example, now we're in the key of A, and you'll start on 1. So you'll start in A, and you'll play through the scale all the way up the neck, like 3 octaves, and you use a second and the fourth. So your chord will be stacked a second between A, so A to B, and the fourth from B. So then you have B, E, so A, B, E. Okay. So they're right there. When you analyze that, that's just an A add 2, or A sus 2, whatever you think about it, right? Right. So you just go up the scale doing that. And there's ways to think about chords and harmony that is more of a like an interval-based approach, but you're not having to think. Like once you get the interval thing, it's just a shape. Figuring out all these different shapes, and you get all these different chords that you've been playing all your life. But now it kind of makes sense when you think about it intervallally, but also just within the scale itself.
I think I do that with I alter pentatonics a lot.
Yeah.
Like you get so good at that. Like everybody knows their basic, that like A minor pentatonic box at the 5th fret, but like the A mixolydian pentatonic box is like. To me, I don't know if that's really a thing, but I do it all the time. I kind of got it from listening to a lot of Eric Johnson, but just go from A to C sharp, get the major third, and otherwise it's the same box.
Yep.
But it is kind of like thinking about the intervals. And I'm not a fan of like learning scales 2 octaves all the way across, because like when do you ever rip a scale all the way across? Like it doesn't sound musical most of the time.
No. This is
like,
that's simply from a study perspective. It's only from a technique perspective.
I tend to think about like if I know where my root is at any one point, if I'm in the middle of a solo, I know where everything is within the chord structure, the mode that I'm playing it around that note. You know, I might know like an octave either direction. And so that way, like, really, you're not like, the most musical things often are like playing like a root flat 7 kind of little riff and then play a speedy run to get to another area of the fretboard or something. But like, you know, picking out the tasty notes, but just kind of knowing where the root is.
I mean, the pentatonic scale, though, is so extremely useful in so many different settings, in every single setting. Doesn't matter what style of music you're playing. And there's so many ways you can utilize it besides what most people do it for. Because like I was saying earlier, you can take an A minor pentatonic scale and you can play that over many different colors of chords, whether it's A minor, whether it's a C major,
B flat major,
whether it's a B flat major 7. Exactly.
I love that.
It's a great sound. It's a beautiful sound. And you can
but the key to that, I've found, like I used to work on that, but like the key to that is still knowing where your root, because there's no B flat in that shape. You have to be able to like do some of the basic pentatonic runs and licks, but be able to land on a B flat or to another chord tone that makes sense within whatever you're playing over.
Like not conflicting with the bass. You know, that's one thing I didn't really think about a lot, and I started changing the way I play chords and chord voices, because you don't need to play the bass note when you're playing with groups. Like, but I got so good at chord melody, and just like, you know, you pick one note and you play all the different. You can play, you know, go chromatically all the way down from E to E and keep a high note of A and play.
Yeah.
You can start on E and you play a E sus, and it goes down to an E flat with sharp 11, and it goes down to a D minor, and then it goes down to this, you know, A over C sharp. Oh, it gets all the way down.
That's like the key to Joe Pass's playing, really.
Exactly.
To me, it's being able to.
He doesn't know anything about theory. He's like, this is the 13 chord. This is like a dominant 7. He doesn't know anything. It's all about, he figured out the sounds. He figured out when you take that note and just and moving, especially for him, it's very like a lot of the Duke Ellington kind of style thing, where you can moving around like dominant 7s a lot, moving dominant 7s down chromatically. It's a really big sound. It's a really, really big sound.
We called that Kesh in school, chromatic embellishment of static harmony. Yeah,
it's used a lot in big band orchestral music, you know. It sounds really good. Lenny Bro used that a lot too. You just take, you deconstruct a chord, and you just take the flat 7th and the 3rd, and then you use other things to play the melodies. So if you're playing C, let's say you're playing some sort of melody line where you're kind of comping and playing the melody at the same time. You have your index finger on B flat, you have your middle finger on E, so you have the tritone there, and you have your ring finger and your pinky free to add other embellishments and other chord tones and melody lines, while the bass is hitting C and other stuff around it. So you can give yourself a lot more room to embellish and kind of open it up a little more, and not clash so much, because you get such a big sound of certain little things in the guitar, especially seconds. Seconds have such a big sound, especially when you play on the G and B string. And for me, that's the beefiest sound, the D, G, and B string, and playing a chord that involves like a second and a fourth. Like seconds and fourths have big, big sounds. And that's like getting a lot of like chordal modal harmony down, and you're playing can take you really far in all styles. And that all circles around pentatonic stuff too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful getting to talk to you. I say this every week. I get to like make new musical friends over the internet. It's
you know,
awesome thing.
I'm starting to get warmed up to this now too. I'd like to do it again. You know.
Well, yeah. I was just gonna say we'll definitely have you back. What does your future look like?
Well, as far as right now, I'll be leaving for Memphis January 2nd, and then
for the rehearsal before the cruise.
Yeah, and then the time difference will be drastic, like 12 to 14 hours, I guess, right? Eliminated.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Cole, for joining us. If you want any information on Cole, obviously visit www.hollandaismusic.com.
You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome.
And we'll put the link at the bottom of the episode, in the episode description.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was really fantastic. Thank you guys very much for having me. You know, would love to do it again.
Awesome.
It's really nice to get the stuff out and talk about anything music, whether it's music business or theory or just being stuck, whatever it is. So we'd love to be back.
Awesome. Thank you, Cole. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right. Y'all have a good one.
All right.
See you guys next week.